In our study of the Gospel according to John, we will examine John chapter 5 from verse 31 to 35. If I bear witness of myself, my witness is not true. There is another who bears witness of me, and I know that the witness which he witnesses of me is true. You have sent to John, and he has borne witness to the truth. Yet I do not receive testimony from man. But I say these things that you may be saved. He was the burning and shining lamp, and you were willing for a time to rejoice in his light.
That I might know him and the power of his resurrection and the fellowship of his suffering, that I might attain unto the resurrection of the dead, that I might apprehend that which I've been apprehended for.
Jesus addresses the people on the oneness of his person with God, the Father. He said in verse 30, I do not seek my own will, but the will of him who sent me. He was one with the Father in person, united in wills and in purpose. The work of Christ, the Son of God, is the work of God the Father. On this note, Jesus provides certain proofs to the people on the additional witnesses of the nature of his person and his work. Jesus' testimony would not be false even if he alone were to speak of it. In John 8 verse 14, even if I testify about myself, my testimony is valid because I know where I came from and where I am going. But you do not know where I came from or where I am going. Jesus, the incarnate Son of God, was fully aware of his union and oneness with God the Father, which elevated his own word to the grandeur of the Word of God. However, Jesus acknowledged that in court, according to the Mosaic law, a word required confirmation by at least 2 witnesses. Therefore, he said, if I bear witness of myself, my witness is not true on technical ground by law. So Jesus says, there is another who bears witness of me, and I know that the witness which he witnesses of me is true. Jesus is here referring to the greater witness of the Father when he says, there is another who bears witness of me. The Father bears witness and is bearing witness in the unity of the work in which Son and Father alike are working. And the Son knows that his power to do this work can come from no other source. His own nature responds to the Father's voice. He knows it to be true. While John the Baptist is not the another who bears witness, Jesus Christ in verse 33 points to the work of John the Baptist as one of the witnesses that the people have received of him as the Son of God. However, he is not the exclusive witness. The witness of the forerunner of John the Baptist was a true one. The function of the prophet is to bear witness to the light, to strip off the veils which hide it, to call attention to its most solemn realities, to quicken vision, to stimulate conscience, to disturb apathy, to discern the coming and prepare the way of the Lord. He was not the light, but he called attention to a testimony more precious than any word proceeding merely from human lips. The testimonies of John, both before and after he came into contact with Christ, were very wonderful and were adapted to exert and produce a deep impression upon the people for a time. But by themselves, they would not have given sufficient ratification to the Lord's words. It may arrest attention, it may impress the apathetic, it may overrule the gainsayers, but it is not final and does not leave the hearers without excuse. All the rhetoric, all the threatening of Elijah would have failed if the fire of the Lord had not fallen to consume the sacrifice. So Jesus said, even though I do not accept human testimony, I say these things so that you may be saved. John's work came to them as light in darkness. It attracted them. They went to it. They were willing to find a source of joy in it. They sent people to ask him questions, but they did not heed his answers. The light came to them, not to amuse them, but to lead them. He gave light because he had been kindled at the source of all light. He came to bear witness to them of the true light from which his was derived. The witness of John the Baptist points to Jesus as that true light that lighted every man coming into the world. This is the light of Jesus, the Son of God.
That I might know him and the power of his resurrection and the fellowship of his suffering, being conformed unto his death, that I might apprehend that which I've been apprehended for, that I might apprehend that which I've been apprehended for, being conformed unto his death, that I might apprehend that which I've been apprehended for.